I'd just like to take this time to thank you, Jonathan, for being with us tonight and for ministering the way you do. Tell me, what does Easter mean to you?
Oh, Easter is, you know, everyone always says Christmas is the time of miracles. Mm-hmm. I think Easter is the bigger time of the year for a miracle. I grew up in Texas, dry, you know, no trees, down the west part of Texas, Odessa, small church, that kind of thing. And Easter was always a special time of the year for my family. My parents always taught us to be real involved in church, and so we would do, you know, Easter pageants or cantatas, you know, whatever you want to call it. But one particular year, I was about 16 years old. Our churches, we didn't have a lot of people, so everybody had to work, you know, and that's the majority of America. And so we would do these Easter pageants, and I was so sick, didn't know. I thought I had the flu, you know, I had fever, and I was just, my stomach was killing me. I was hurting. And the next day, I just said, Lord, just get me through the pageant. And everyone's like, you look awful, you look awful. I got to get through the pageant, I got to get through the pageant. I started passing out, and I was literally falling out, absolutely just couldn't even stand up. And my dad rushed me to the emergency room, and come to find out I'd been suffering for about 6 months of an ulcer that had hit a blood vessel. And the way it was positioned in my stomach, they couldn't do anything for it.
And how old were you?
I was 16 years old. And the cool thing was they took me in, and I kept telling them, you know, the Lord's going to heal me. The Lord's going to heal me. One Wednesday night, I'd been in intensive care for about 2 or 3 days. And the doctor was getting really worried because they were going to have to go in and operate. And they didn't want to because then I'd lose more blood. And the great thing about God is His timing is always perfect. And a prayer meeting was going on at church. And at the instant they began to pray, it began to grow clear. And it was just clean, you know, as crystal. Wow. And so God began to do a work. And the thing about your stomach, there's always scars. There's always something there. Right. And you always have to take care of it the rest of your life. Be very careful. And He was giving me all the bad news. And I told Him, I said, God's going to take care of that. I'm His child. He's going to take care of that. And He did. They went in the next day to do the surgery. It made my doctor so angry that he got all the scopes out, and I became this little guinea pig. Then they were putting all these things down my throat, trying to figure out where did that scar go. He had an ulcer when he came in.
You didn't want to believe
He couldn't figure it out. And so he actually had to put down on my record, and I made sure, a miracle.
About the same thing happened with me in 1991 with leukemia.
Oh, yeah.
And God used that for the doctor's sake and the 2 nurses' sake. And, you know, they came to Christ because of that. Right. So, you know, the miracles, they're in action today. They're evident today. And like you're saying, this time of year is really the greatest miracle of all. Oh, yeah. And just to segue, just for segue's sake, you know, for Him to love us to this point, where He would come and give His life for us, and then shed His blood even for our healing, you know, wounded for our transgressions, bruised for our iniquities, chastisement of our peace was upon Him, and with His stripes we were made whole, we were healed. Yeah. This time of year is so significant because there are so many factors wrapped up into this one season or this one commemoration, and that's living proof of it.
It's not about Cadbury eggs.
No.
You know? And but it proves all over again that He's so sovereign and He loves us. But it's kind of like when you step up to the microphone and you declare Him Lord in your life, you've got to be willing to take the battles. And it's not going to be easy and it's not going to be pretty. But if you boldly declare and you stand on that promise, Easter, it's a new day.